and why did they seem to be blaming it on this video repeatedly and for days?
Well, I think there's a couple things going on here, and I'm really still trying to report it, so I don't feel comfortable ascribing motives to the White House as to why it took so long for them to acknowledge it was an act of terrorism. Although on the first day, I think President Obama did say that he would not allow acts of terror to affect the United States in some way. I forget the exact quote. Though after that, we saw several senior officials refuse to call it an act of terrorism, and also to say that it was refused to say it was pre-planned. And in some of this, you don't need intelligence sources. I think that if you just look at what was publicly said by Ayman al-Zawahiri, he asked for the vengeance killing of al-Qaeda, al-Libya, and then he congratulated the people for the attacks on the consulate for taking vengeance on al-Libya. In addition to that, you have one of the main organizers of the Cairo riots was Mohammed al-Zawahiri, the younger brother of Ayman al-Zawahiri. The date is significant in 9/11, which of course is the anniversary of the horrific al-Qaeda attacks 11 years ago. And then finally, the flags that were planted on top of these embassies and these assaults were known as the kind of black flag of the jihadists and al-Qaeda. So those were all kind of dead giveaways, but there was also a lot of intelligence coming in as well. And specifically, there were 4 individuals who were attackers in the attack, who were who people knew about within 24 hours, and then there was one person whose location was known. There was evidence that a Libyan politician had tried to coerce the leaders of the February 17 militia that was charged with guarding the U.S. consulate to stand down for the attack. Yeah. And there were other efforts as well from local jihadists in the region to sort of approach the people in this militia who were guarding the U.S. embassy as well. All of that suggests planning.
All right, got it. Eli, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for all of your reporting and getting this information out. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I want to address the table to this conversation, and we have been very passionate here at Real News about wanting to get the truth out about the attacks in Libya, also the riots all across the Middle East on 9/11 and subsequently. And let me just throw it to you, since you're a newcomer to the table. Why do you suppose it is there doesn't seem to be more public outrage about our administration telling stories very contrary to the facts that are coming out?
I just think in general there's been such a lack of leadership and such chaos and confusion over the cause of it because of our administration that people don't know where to look. They don't know what leader to listen to. They don't know if they're listening to the news, to the administration, to Ambassador Rice. And I think the public in general is just sort of afraid. I mean, you see your ambassador overseas being killed, and the administration isn't doing anything. And it's sort of just a state of confusion, and there's a leadership vacuum that I think is a reason for Obama declining in his popularity in foreign policy, and maybe an opportunity for Romney.
All of the intelligence that Eli is talking about, the sources that he's gone to recently, are confirming what we already know just based upon common sense. This was clearly pre-planned. These were clearly terrorists. We know that. And I think there's a fixation now. The administration has moved to, well, now we're trying to find out, now that we've decided that it's terrorism, we're going to try to find out, was it al-Qaeda or was it an al-Qaeda affiliated or al-Qaeda aligned group? That doesn't really matter that much.
And in the meantime, it continues.
Right. Well, what matters is what happened here. And what happened was a complex attack that completely burned out a U.S. facility, killed the U.S. ambassador, killed several other Americans. And on their side, that means that there was, you know, on the side of the enemy here, there was surveillance, there was pre-planning. They obviously scoped out this target. And on the American side, we were caught unaware. We were not ready. And the administration just hoping to sort of stretch the story out so that people won't be as outraged as they should be.
So, Matt McCall, let me show you some new polling, some fresh polling from Bloomberg National News here. It was released just on Wednesday, and voters asked who would be tougher on terrorism. Romney gets now 48%, Obama 42%. This is a major reversal. And in terms of approve, disapprove, Obama's relations with other countries, 45% approve, 47% disapprove. Do you think that this could be a major election year issue and that the public could be turning against this administration, at least on the question of Libya and foreign policy?
I think, yes, they're turning on them as far as terrorism is concerned. Will this swing the election one way or the other? I don't think it will. I would like to hope it would, because obviously something's very important, not only terrorism overseas, but here in the U.S. as well. But if you look back based on history and elections, typically people do not vote based on war or on terrorism. They vote based on the economy, which, if that's being said, then
But what about the fact here now we're even getting bipartisan criticism of the president? There was a letter that was sent by John Kerry, Senator John Kerry, Senator Richard Lugar, to the Deputy Secretary for Management and Resources, asking for more answers. Now, The hearing won't be, they're asking for a hearing November 13th, the week of November 13th, after the election. Clearly they don't want this, at least Democrats don't.
Obama's not the only one up for re-election, I think. That's why you're seeing the bipartisan questions.
But are we
here,
starting to see real pressure coming to bear on the administration to come clean?
They won't come clean. There's going to be aspects of this that will be held for, they'll say, for security purposes. Some of it will be, some of it's just political. They won't do that. But what I would say is this poll, Amy, that you're citing, and this bipartisan, whoa, what went on here moment that America seems to be having, is compounded by the fact that the administration's response to this was bungled. People tried to make it sound like Romney jumped too soon, whatever the case was with that. No, the administration did a horrible job expressing its outrage on this and really showing executive leadership here. But there was another thing, Michelle, I know you deal with public communications a lot. It still sticks in my craw that at a speech at the United Nations, under any context, the President of the United States said, the future cannot belong to those who slander Islam. I think that people started to see this side of Obama that he had pushed away with, people talking about drone strikes and how strong he was in the war on terror, which is that he actually concedes that free speech rights maybe offend people too much. He concedes that we need to placate the Muslim world. That's what I saw here, and I think other people see that too.